It's getting biblical, folks, as Pope vanishes. MECCA shuts down for the first time in history. The events that are now unfolding have gone beyond Black Swan and become biblical in their proportions. In the Islam world, MECCA has shut down for the first time in history. Among the Christians, the Pope has vanished and Queen Elizabeth has gone into hiding. See the very reviewing letter to the editor following this report that may explain the real reason she is hiding. Meanwhile, the Jews are being liberated for the first time in 5,780 years as they oust Satan worshipping Benjamin Netanyahu from power. The trigger of these events was a refusal by Chinese people on February 16, 2020, to pay any further tribute to the Asian satanic bloodline families. This had happened when Chinese leaders told the United States corporation they would not ship any more physical stuff unless they are paid with things that actually exist in the real world. In other words, they broke the Asian satanic money magic illusion. The so-called pandemic that ensued was a combination of biological and electromagnetic warfare retaliatory attack on China. Although the attack apparently caused mass casualties in Wuhan, it failed to intimidate or bow the Chinese people. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Zhao Lijian publicly asked, "When did patient zero begin in the U.S.? How many people are infected? What are the names of the hospitals? It might be the U.S. Army that brought the panic to Wuhan. Be transparent. Make public you dare. The U.S. owes us an explanation." For a government spokesperson to say such things is tantamount to a declaration of war. What people are now witnessing is a desperate battle by Asian ruling satanic bloodlines to scare people back into submissions with pandemic fear upon. For example, when I look at the first 40 stories on the international news Reddit feed, 35 of them were about the so-called pandemic. Our Pentagon sources observed that the extremely long list of celebrities and first ladies, Spain, Canada, all come out to announce that they at least having COVID-19. So many, in fact, it's obviously ludicrous, considering that they will never frequent the subway or mingle with the unwashed and the deplorable. The list can include over 157 people, which doesn't commute with the true statistics of non-celebrities diagnosed with it. Let's stop for a minute to think rationally about the so-called pandemic. Every year, about 15 million people die from respiratory ailments. Even conservative estimates say that the flu kills over 300,000 people annually. And yet, here we have extremely high statistically over a few thousand deaths of people whose average age is 80 years old. What is going on is a global slave revolt against Asian satanic bloodline, ruining families who are now being systematically hunted down by special forces, according to multiple sources. Already, many of the Asian bloodline families are trying to negotiate surrender terms, P3 and WDS sources say. Old black nobility families are ready to surrender, confirms Vincenzo Mazzara of the P3. The Rothschild and other families hiding in Switzerland and New Zealand are also negotiating surrender, WDS sources say. We are also hearing tales from the Nazi Illuminati and the P3 Freemason of a war that has been raging for thousands of years. They say planet Earth was placed under quarantine thousands of years ago after a powerful entity fled to the surface and enslaved a group of humans. This entity is what is referred to in the Bible as Satan, according to them. The people they enslave are what they refer to as the Jews, they say. A more rational, scientific explanation is that an Asian group of human slavers has been running a monotheistic scam to enslave a huge percentage of the world populations. This family split into swapping factions we know as Catholics, Protestants, Muslims, and Jews. That is why the ongoing revolt against their collective rule has been called biblical. We have been stuck on this planet for thousands of years, and all we can do is repeat the same old strategies over and over again, one senior Santanix admits. That is why they have tried bird flu, Ebola, Zika, and other pandemic scares one after the other in recent years to keep the population intimidated, he admits. This has been going on at least since the engineered Spanish flu pandemic of 1918, which only killed young soldiers who had been vaccinated. For another example, take a look at the CBS 60 Minutes documentary on the swine flu epidemic of 1976 in the US. It went on the air only once and was never shown again. Listen to the testimony of people who experienced Guillain-Barré paralysis because of the swine flu vaccine. They sued the US government for damages. The 500 cases of Guillain-Barré paralysis, including 25 deaths, were not due to the swine flu itself, but as a direct result of the vaccine. At the time, President Gerard Ford, on advance from the CDC, called for vaccinating their entire population of the United States. So please, do not let them carry out mandatory mass vaccinations on the pretext of a fake deadly pandemic, because that will cause a real pandemic. Let's take a closer look at what's happening to their financial system. The chart at the link below shows what's happening now in red as compared to what happened in previous bear markets. It's clear that this is no ordinary financial crisis. This quote from Zero Hedge illustrates how the Fed's monetary illusion have evaporated. After firing the biggest emergency shock and where bazooka in Fed history, one which has meant to restore not just partially but full normalcy to assets and funding markets. E-mini futures are not only not higher but tumbling by the minus 5% limit down. Sources say the Dow Jones Industrial Average will have to fall to at least one-third of its peak value in order to be in line with historical trends. With the U.S. no longer getting ships full of rare goods in exchange of its illusionary money of account, fractional reserve lending, digital credit money, it is a mathematical certainty that stores will become empty and major U.S. banks will go bust. Now let's look at reports about the ongoing secret war from the Pentagon and CIA. Here is a summary of the action from one Pentagon sources. The Zionists are on their deathbeds, as Harvey Weinstein gets sentenced to 23 years in prison in New York, paving the way for convictions in LA. Since Prince Andrew is a Navy officer who had Jeffrey Epstein but refused to cooperate with the DOJ, the Queen has locked down of Windsor Castle. UK royals may be renditioned by US military since they are also military officers. Italy is apparently under the US military protection while the country is under lockdown. Its army chief succumbed to coronavirus infections, and the Vatican needs to be cleansed of gays, satanics, and pedophiles. Anti-family, anti-Christian Hollywood is under assault as Disney theme parks and movie theaters close. Film production shut down. Tom Hanks and his wife got infected with the coronavirus. Nicole Kidman moves back down under, and Steven Spielberg may be exposed for his crime with children. Even more shocking is this report that comes from the CIA that just this blog was about to go live. This morning at 4:30 a.m., Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was served a criminal indictment by the U.S. for corrupt and financial crimes. Media owners were instructed to brainwash everyone that Trudeau and his wife are infected with the coronavirus and that they won't be leaving their house for a while. Tom Hanks was arrested 48 hours ago for pedophilia and is currently being held in a hotel room in Australia, unwilling to fly back to the USA. The next celebrity arrest will be Celine Dion, Madonna, Charles Barkley, Kevin Spacey. All will claim coronavirus infections. Italy's airports have been completely shut down as over 80 Vatican and financial officials have been served the same criminal indictment for financial crimes, pedophilia, child trafficking, and sexual abuse. The United Arab Emirates have complete mass arrest for their own royal families and affiliates. Convicted Hollywood rapist Harvey Weinstein agreed to a deal in exchange for his testimony against hundreds of top Hollywood celebrities for their involvement in the drug business, pedophilia, and child trafficking. Instead of a 55 sentence, he only received a 23-year sentence. In exchange, he provided testimony against some of the biggest and most powerful names, including Prince Andrew of the UK, former President Bill Clinton, former Vice President Joe Biden, Tom Hanks, Oprah, Ellen DeGeneres, Quentin Tarantino, Charlie Sheen, Bob Saget, Kevin Spacey, John Travolta, Steven Sternberg, John Podesta, and XIVM and Pizzagate sex trafficking clubs, and hundreds more who are also being directly involved with Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was similarly allowed to make a deal and has his suicide in prison faked in exchange for his testimony. CEOs of some major wood corporations have been indicted or arrested, and some have been forced to resign, or in the last 30 to 60 days. Such as the CEO of the NBA, Harley Davidson, the Bill Gates Foundation, Intel, McDonald's, Caesars Awards, Disney, and the Vatican Chief of Police, amongst others. Approximately 700 to 800 more resignations are coming in the next 3 months. The lab-engineered novel coronavirus is a cover story for mandatory vaccination agenda. Now it has been the biggest covered U.S. intelligence operation the world has ever seen. This massive 158,000 arrest operation will capture and remove the biggest evil and corrupt politicians, celebrities, and CEOs, including global elites and bankers such as George Soros, UN officials, and the founders of Greta Inc. President Trump will win the 2020 elections, and the arrest of former U.S. President will occur in early 2021. All major arrests will be portrayed by the media as accidental or as conspiratory theories. All arrested individuals will be given the wrong of death, meaning that they will have a choice between their death being portrayed to the public as a suicide or an accidental death in return for assurance that his or her reputation will remain intact. Alternatively, they can choose to face a criminal trial that would result in public disgrace. Some top religious leaders will be arrested or forced to resign, and some will suddenly get sick. The Vatican will be the first, and the Pope will be removed in 2020. The distributions of extract human adrenochrome will be reviewed, and the Hollywood and the Vatican will be exposed as being directly responsible. There will be a 2-month complete shutdown of the world's most common operation, such as schools, the stock exchange, some banks, airports, shipping, travel, events, galas, expos, sport games, sport championships, music award ceremonies, NBA, NHL, baseball games, and ship cruise. There will be food shortages and state electricity power loss. Gas prices will go down, food costs will go up, insurance will go up, gold and silver stock will fall, and many corporations will either go bankrupt or take a significant financial loss, such as in the case of what's about to happen to Air Canada, Disney, and Coca-Cola. Other unconfirmed tidbits from intelligence agency sources are as follows. Nancy Pelosi died within the last 24 hours. The coronavirus will most likely be reported as a cause of death when the public announcement is made. Stephen Mnuchin will be removed very soon. He's an agent of the Khazarian cable. The time has come to cut his rules as he knows too much about their inside dealings, including thieves from the U.S. Treasury. Will he succumb to the coronavirus? Boeing company will go under. It is finished. All aircraft service centers will be shut down globally. Maintenance facilities will close globally. Aircraft sales are already stopped. Lease cancelled. Boeing will bring down Lockheed Martin. They have their tentacles circling the globe. This will bring down the cable, or it can drop to $5 a barrel as nobody wants this anymore. New technologies are ready to be released. It is finally happening. Humanity is waking up from a long and terrible nightmare.